Avengers! Assemble.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Excelsior, the world's #1 Marvel's Avengers / Guardians of the Galaxy / Marvel's Spider-Man / Marvel's Wolverine podcast. I'm your director, Christian Buckley, joined as always by the Apex legend, Jack Martin.
Excelsior, Christian. I feel like we keep getting into these weeks where it's like, oh man, this is the biggest Excelsior week I feel like we've had in quite some time. And it's just a consistent drip of Marvel goodness. And it's Marvel Games goodness this week, which is incredibly exciting.
Yeah, man. And imagine if we didn't do our Shang-Chi breakout episode. We'd be talking about Shang-Chi today also.
I know, that'd be a nice 3-hour long podcast.
Yeah, that's lowballing it.
Yeah.
I'll reiterate though, if you're listening to this episode as you normally do on Saturday, we did review Shang-Chi. That is a standalone episode in your podcast feed. You should have seen it if you have the podcast subscription. But for those that haven't seen it yet, I'll say we are both very positive on it, both recommended. Check it out if you feel safe to do so, and then listen to our thoughts. If not, no Shang-Chi spoilers today, so don't worry.
That's right.
But Jack, how are you doing?
I'm doing real good. We watch, and obviously we'll get into it. Separately, we watched the PlayStation Showcase for September, and throughout, like, the beginning was great, middle was kind of and at the end they just kept bringing hit after hit after hit, and that had me so hyped at the end of that. So that enthusiasm has carried into this podcast recording, and I'm incredibly excited to talk about that. But how you doing?
I'm doing good, you know. It feels like fall today, you know. I saw that Matrix trailer yesterday. I pulled the Steelbook off the shelf. I might watch The Matrix tonight for the first time in a while.
Ooh, you a big Matrix guy?
I really love the first one, but I've not seen any of the others.
Okay, yeah, I've only seen the first one, and it took me literally since high school. Like, my friends would always put it on, like, when I was over their house sleeping over or whatever on Netflix, and I would like always fall asleep in the first like 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. And my joke complaint was that it was too green, which was correct. It's absolutely too green.
Yes.
But eventually I watched it, and it's of course a really good movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, why don't we get into Fury's report for Avengers, because we got a lot of Marvel stuff to talk about. You've teed it up. We got Marvel games left and right. They're announced too many of these things. Not a problem, but man, there's a lot going on in the world of Marvel games. Plus, of course,
a lot to keep track of.
Mm-hmm. What if in the back half of the show? But while there is a lot of new Marvel games stuff, there's a lot of interesting stuff to talk about with Marvel's Avengers. So, Fury's report today, in the War Table blog, they did point out that this is the final week of the anniversary event that's been going on right now, where you can find the Synthoid cargo runner a lot more. You can get an exotic pretty much every day from running a priority mission. That event ends this week. I think the 16th is the final day of it. Jack, have you gotten any time in with the event?
Not with the event, honestly. It's one of those things where I barely kind of even realize it's there, which is unfortunate. I feel like there's not a lot of spotlight on it. I mean, the War Table, in my opinion, it has always been a mess. You just jump into it and you don't even know where to look. So I think that's still a problem, and I especially think it's a problem with this, where I wouldn't even know where to look, to be completely honest, to find the anniversary event stuff.
Yeah. Honestly, the fact that we're going to get to the state of the game in just a moment, like, the fact that there is a future of this game, I would love if they retooled it to be like, hey, if you want to do a main story mission, you talk to Maria Hill either on comms or in person. If you want to do like one of the bronze coins on the War Table that's just like a pop in and get out thing, talk to like Dum Dum Dugan or something. Like, I think that would clear things out. The War Table, I'm with you, it's kind of all over the place with the way it refreshes and all that, but
I'm surprised that, I mean, I'm glad that the UI was changed. I feel like it looks really a lot cleaner now, a lot more streamlined. Really surprised that the War Table is still pretty much exactly the same as it always has
Yeah.
been. It's not awful by any means, but
It's cumbersome.
it's cumbersome. And if there was just a better way of displaying missions than there is right now, I feel like that would be a lot easier to just find what you want to do.
Definitely. Well, speaking of finding things you want, I think we're all going to want to go over to the marketplace this week because we got a real dope free Thor skin, don't we?
Yeah, dude. We have the free Thor. Is it Idrisil? Guardian?
Yes.
Okay. So essentially Loki colors. Green and gold. He's got the horns on his head. It's fit Thor. Very fit. You got the extra skinny leotard, as well as the skinny, arm bands or whatever. Really like this one. In fact, I was playing a lot of Thor recently. I know you're a big Thor guy. And when we did the Omega level threat, you had your Thor who was doing a lot of work, and I was like, maybe I'll get this dude 150. So I was just playing around with Thor, flying around with this outfit, and I really like it. This might be like my go-to Thor outfit, and it's completely free.
Yeah, this looks great. I have yet to claim this, but I absolutely will. I do love the base, like the actual design of this outfit. It's popped up in a couple different skins. I haven't purchased any of them yet, but I do love the coloring here. It's a nice nod to Loki, and what you were saying before, like just the way that this version of Thor is represented, I think it's maybe my favorite out of the bunch. I just have yet to find a colorway that I really like,
Yeah, some of them I don't like. The red and blue one that I think you can earn for him, I don't love because it looks like a cosplay of Thor in a way, like
Sure.
a bad cosplay. So I wasn't a fan of that. But for me at least, the colorway on this particular skin got me, and this is probably my go-to Thor. So appreciate this being the free one for this week, because the free Iron Man last week was quite interesting.
Yes, it was. We also have a new team set called the Cube team set.
Cube Shard outfit.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on these?
This is another one in the column of I don't really care. It is basically taking bases of some of these costumes look new, like the base of them, but a lot of them seem like kind of reused bases and then adding white lights on them, essentially. And it's not my favorite. It's very bright, obviously.
Yeah, it's a little strange. It's like wasn't there an episode of a cart, like was there a Simpsons episode or something where like Homer drank radiation and then he just was like very bright?
Yeah, like glowing Homer.
Yeah, I think this is what that reminds me of. Like they're just Avengers that have a light bulb inside them and they turned on and it's just very, very bright. It's a choice, but gotta respect it. They're getting creative.
Yeah, it's certainly not something I would buy. Like there are some of these outfit sets that I'm like, oh, that's an interesting outfit or skin, but this is one that's not even on my radar.
Yeah, I'm with you. And if Black Panther is in your rotation, though, you should know this to have on your radar. This is another week where it's spotlighted, the MCU skin from the film. We're probably due for another MCU skin next week, right? It's been a minute.
Yeah, usually when they were on their grind, it was like kind of could be a weekly thing, could be a bi-weekly thing. I feel like this week the big announcement was the updated roadmap, so that kind of was the news for this week. So maybe next week we get something else.
Yeah, well, we got some updates going on in the game as well. The roadmap dev stream is actually happening right now as of recording this. So we will keep tabs on the Play Avenger Twitter account. And if there's any major takeaways from the roadmap dev stream, we will, of course, update that during this recording. But for now, we should dip into some stark realities. Because I alluded to it before, Jack, but this game has a future. The roadmap is here. Roadmap 2. It fills out the rest of 2021. They said, I believe Paul Tassi was quoted saying this, that he talked to Crystal and they will also be releasing another roadmap before the end of 2021. So, game's got a future. 2022 is going to have some content. Immediate thoughts. Are you celebrating?
In a way, we'll get into the meat and potatoes very soon, but nothing on the roadmap really surprised me all too much. We're getting the raid, obviously. Spider-Man, we knew, so obviously that had to be in there. But nothing really jumped out at me as being super exciting. I feel like that kind of makes sense for Black Panther to be this huge, supposedly to be the big expansion for the game in the fall, and then they're gonna have some more, smaller, I would say, things later on this year. 2022 is probably the one I'm hoping for to have, more big, grabby events and things like that. But yeah, I mean, it's good that the game is continuing, but kind of expected the stuff that we see in here. How about you?
Yeah, I think that this roadmap we got for the rest of this year is the bare minimum of what I needed to be satisfied. So yes, I'm satisfied, but I'm not surprised by anything. Actually, I'm kind of surprised that something isn't on here that we thought was going to be dropping very soon, that being the Wasteland Patrol. But why don't we run through the fall-winter lineup, and we can just talk through it as we run through it for the audience.
Sounds good.
So, September is where we are right now. The Black Panther MCU skin, the 1-year anniversary event, the activities that go alongside it, all of those are ending soon. I would have been okay if they just didn't list anything for September, because I feel like there's really nothing there,
I think that was kind of just padding out the schedule.
Yeah. Just to be like, hey, the game's a year old. That could have just been what it was.
Sure. And to not have anything in September, not too much in September after the War for Wakanda, that's fine. I agree with you. Yeah. I think it was a means to just sort of, make it look a little neater.
Yeah, I agree. So then we get into fall/winter. So no dedicated months on these things yet, but if the past roadmap is anything to go off of, I think we can probably safely assume when this is going to hit. The first thing sequentially from left to right on here, returning events, we got Corrupted Vibranium, Red Room Takeover, Tachyon Anomaly, Cosmic Threat, and bonus XP weekends. So, not super stoked about any of those particularly, but bonus XP weekends is, I think, very good news for people like us who want to flesh out the rest of their Avengers and get them up to par, and returning players or new players that really want to get ready for future content.
Yeah, I like the bonus XP weekends. Honestly, I kind of feel like that should probably just be the standard at this point. Just have double XP, 1.5 XP every weekend. I mean, why not?
Yeah,
but it's nice that that's coming back.
That was my read on this. I don't know if I was expecting too much out of double XP weekends, if that's just for a month, but I'm with you. I think that should be the norm, and I took it that way. But
yeah, I don't know if that's the norm. It would be really nice. They didn't clarify it in a way that that's just the standard now, but it'd be great if it was.
Yeah, and I could see it be like every other weekend, just to have some sort of stopper on the rapid progression to just get people to buy XP boosters or whatever, not constantly. But listen, my champion level for my Thor will thank these XP weekends.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of the returning events, the Red Room Takeover, I do think, is solid. And for new players, I will never stop saying this. If you don't want to drop money on skins, grind the challenge cards and do it when the Red Room Takeover is active, because you and I talked about this a year ago. Grinding challenges is really hard when your companions steal your kills or your takedowns. So,
yeah, I was grinding away my Black Panther challenge card in the harm room challenges, or like the harm room trainings, and those have always worked really well for me in the past, and they still do, but it is just so cumbersome and be way easier with your method.
yeah, because I think it was room 2, like the first 2 rounds, there's tons of enemies. So I would just go through the first 2 rounds and then reload the checkpoint. It was super fast, very efficient, and nobody steals my kills. So
there you go.
Yeah. Outside of that, returning events, I mean, I expected them to be sprinkled throughout the fall, but I'm not excited for this. I know you're not either.
No, certainly not excited. When you want to see a game continue, you want new content, not recycled content. It's kind of a meme at this point about this game. So, that's fine. It's definitely not what people want, though. Certainly not what you and I want.
Yeah. The next chunk, we got there's no title on this, but they say Confront Claw in our first raid. No Omega level threat nonsense, no OLT, no cloning lab. We got a raid.
Yes, and in fact, I just got a Twitter update from Play Avenger, the Marvel Avengers unaffiliated Twitter account. And they were saying there's a mini boss at the beginning of this Claw raid.
I bet it is Crossbones.
Oh yeah, you'd have to imagine.
But still, honestly, the way they talk about the raid in the State of the Game blog, which we're not going to go through, it's extensive, but
it's wicked long.
I recommend reading it if you're super into the nitty gritty of this game. The way they phrase the raid, it's new content. It's not a recycled mission like the other Omega level threat is. New design mechanics and a new enemy type called Echoes that will be debuting here and coming to the game in other ways as well. It's everything I wanted out of a raid in this game, and I was honestly quite worried after beating War for Wakanda, because that final mission was raid-esque in terms of the progression of the things you had to do, how long it was, and how the objectives were handled. I could have easily seen that just be super buffed like the Super Adaptoid thing was to pad out the runtime of it, and then they call it a raid. But no, brand new levels, new enemies, new puzzles, all that stuff. 4-player strike team. Get ready.
Right, and this is the thing that should jump out to anyone reading this, is the fact that there is a raid and there's finally a reason to have a level 150 character. And it's really good that they're using that verbiage of calling it a raid, because then you know what to expect. War for Wakanda, I think, for us and for a lot of people, was supposed to be, or we were expecting it to potentially be, the turning point for the game. We haven't really gone over our thoughts post that, but I haven't really felt like it has lived up to that. So for me, this is the next step for this game, is how does the raid live up to raids in other games, and is this worthy of the title of raid, and is it worth grinding up all your characters, doing min-max, all that sort of stuff to play through this content. Certainly very worried about this, but I'm glad that we'll be able to experience this in the fall.
I'll say this, because I am with you. The news and headlines and the business of all the goings-on of Marvel right now has kind of prevented us from having a casual debrief post thoughts about War for Wakanda. I'm with you. In the State of the Game blog, Crystal does say that they were very happy with the numbers War for Wakanda did and the reception of it. And I imagine the reason we have this roadmap and them talking about a new roadmap and then a 2022 early year content lineup is because of how happy they are with it. And by how happy they are, I also mean how happy Square was. So I'm sure they saw an uptick. I'm sure it allowed them a little more time for some more content. But when I look at Destiny 1, right? Destiny 1 launched to some 6s. Not fair. to some sixes.
Two did
And
too as well, right?
I think two scored a little higher out the gate.
Okay.
But yeah, Destiny 1 launched with some poor reviews, and the game 2 months later got its raid, and that is what saved Destiny 1. We all like to credit the Taken King a year later as the moment that really like brought on that savior idea for Destiny, but like the raid in Destiny 1 dropping a couple months after launch allowed the momentum to carry into Taken King, which was that massive reset. I think when it comes to Avengers, there's a chance that the raid could replicate that, just way more elongated. Destiny, it was 2 months. So this was going to be maybe 14 months or something. um, but yeah, like I think this game has struggled to be a multiplayer game, and this could be that moment, you know?
Yeah, that's certainly the hope for a raid. I'm really worried that this will just end up being similar to the Omega level threat. That's like my biggest concern. Like incredibly unbalanced, not fun or engaging. But the best part about this is like what you said. It does. They say, I think they use the words like custom crafted levels.
Yes.
So it sounds completely new, which is great. Even though yes, they are reusing Claw, but that makes sense. Like post War for Wakanda, that has like geared you up for the next Wakanda like content drop, and this is supposed to like finish out Claw's story. They said so. Makes sense. Exciting and also nervous at the same time. Glad that there's a raid.
Yeah, and I'm with you. Claw makes sense. Claw having that giant energy form that is shown in this art here makes sense as a raid boss. In Destiny, some of the raid bosses are like the boss of the campaign of that expansion. They justify it in the lore in some really cool ways of why you have to fight them a second time. But yeah, I think it's fine. You know, Claw in the big boy form can absolutely have a little more surprises in store, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So underneath the raid, we also have new hero event Spider-Man only on PlayStation. And Jack, you pointed out to me, I missed this in my initial read-through that I did on youtube.com/joyclicks. Spider-Man's in this roadmap. You can see Spider-Man.
Yeah, I also missed this. I think I saw someone on Twitter did a super enhance of this image and recolored it a little bit so you can kind of see him. He's swinging right in front of Omega Claw, or whatever we want to call him, Super Claw. And he is the like classic depiction of Spider-Man, like red and blue. He's got the big red spider on his back. I immediately sent you the Neversoft Spider-Man video game cover. It looks exactly like that. So I think that appears to be the direction for the Spider-Man. Just trite and true, go for the classic. So that was our first look at him. We don't have any information other than that on this Spider-Man. But yeah, how do you feel about new hero event? Does that come off a little interestingly to you?
So I remember when they announced they were doing Spider-Man, they did say he would be introduced through an in-game event, right? Mm-hmm. I think I was talking with this about Kevin because he played through War for Wakanda, and on Gamescast I wanted to see what he thought about the roadmap, and he asked the same question. He's like, "What does that mean?" I think we had this conversation before. Spider-Man is not going to be super important to the main plot of Marvel's Avengers just because they're not going to constantly update Spider-Man and have extra lines for him to be super involved in the story if that's only a third of your player base being able to see that character. Like, that's just not how it's going to be. So I doubt they would also want to put in the resources to make an operation for Spider-Man. I could maybe see an intro cutscene, an event like the Corrupted Vibranium thing to just have objectives you have to do as Spider-Man, and then maybe end with a cutscene that is a resolution to whatever the event is, which I get would be a little disappointing because we'd all love to be in Manhattan playing as Spider-Man. Doc Ock is the villain or something, but I imagine it will be maybe like the Corrupted Vibranium event, but it will have some cutscenes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that sounds incredibly disappointing, which makes sense the way you were describing it, but I just can't. That's so strange to me to have a character so big as Spider-Man and just have like a Red Room takeover equivalent of him in some rooms or him at best like in some New York boroughs or whatever, just fighting some enemies, and it being like, if Hawkeye for me was like an hour and a half content, that sounds like it's an hour content.
Yeah.
With like one of the biggest heroes of all time.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I feel like they would be in a rock and a hard place. Like, would it just be a new hero drop similar to Kate or Hawkeye, and two of the other platforms just miss out on it completely? And to them, Spider-Man is just an NPC in the background that they just can't play as? Or is it very small content that doesn't really even matter to PlayStation all that much? That's unfortunate. I feel like there's no good way of getting out of that.
Yeah, my guess is the most significant Spider-Man content in this game will be taking place during this event. And then similar to how like Clint played a role in War for Wakanda, I bet in the PlayStation version of every expansion coming up, like Spider-Man will be there. He'll have like one or two new lines, or in a cutscene when everybody's standing around the war table, he'll make a quip. But like that's the extent of it, just because it's not going to be manageable to have him be like the main pull of like the Captain Marvel storyline if it's like him and her team, and like that's not going to happen because the reason Spider-Man is in this game, I think Greg Miller brought up a question to when he got to talk to Crystal, and he was basically alluding to like, hey, is Spider-Man the reason there's no crossplay? Because that's not even in the realm of their state of the game thing. And they just said, as of right now, crossplay is not in our minds. And I mean, I think that might be it, And I just have a hard time seeing them splintering off to have like the version of Avengers where Spider-Man is a core player on PlayStation and then axing him out of all that content on the other side. Like, I think the best case scenario is we get a cool event, maybe a villain sector, which I would love, and then quips here and there from whoever voice actor they get as Spider-Man. I'm hoping it's Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, that's insane.
He's got history.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they might do like the Josh Keaton route.
Sure, yeah.
Or, someone who's done the voice before.
Mm-hmm.
My worry with this is that it will just ring hollow, which I think that's another spotlight this game will have, is the Spider-Man event and the new edition of Spider-Man, similar to War for Wakanda, even though this is like noticeably smaller, like obviously. But still, it's going to draw a lot of people in because it's Spider-Man. That's a worry of mine, where it's going to come out and it's going to be maybe like we're thinking and not too much content because they don't want to alienate other platforms, but not enough to make it really ring true. And that's just, going to be another noticeable drawback of this game, which would be unfortunate. My main hope is that he plays great, and that's another worry of mine because we have two Spider-Man games now that play amazingly, and obviously the comparisons are going to be there. So, yeah, this will be an interesting one come the fall.
Jack, let me pitch you exactly what this event is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So, the theme park Manhattan we have, right?
Yep.
We are going to get an event that takes place on that map, and no enemies are going to be there, but there are going to be a handful of NPCs scattered across this map. And all of them, they're going to be like normal people, civilians, right? Because friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, you're helping out your buds, your normal New York neighbors. You're going to have, I know you're going to hate this, but you're going to have a time limit. You got to find all of them.
Superman 64?
No, you got to find all of them, and you got to deliver some pizza, and then the Spider-Man 2 game Pizza Time song is playing the whole time, and that's the event.
Dude, I was literally waiting for you to finish so I could chime in with that dumb quip, so you won me over.
Mm-hmm. That's what it's got to be. That's it.
I mean, you got me.
Yeah, like, as disappointing as that would be, I don't think I'd be disappointed if that's what it was.
No, that would be the biggest meme of all time.
Yeah. Like, it has to be exactly that. Like, it can't just be, oh, you have to go around and, like, not deliver pizza. It has to be you're delivering your pizza.
Yeah. That would that'd be absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
It's funny because you and I already have the expectations, and I'm sure our listeners do, of what event means for this game, and it really doesn't mean all that much.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing. Once they reiterated, because you're right, they did announce that like a while ago that he would be introducing an event. Once they reiterated the event with this updated roadmap, immediately I was like, oh man, I don't know about this one.
Remind me, did we get a cutscene for the Red Room takeover?
No. In fact, I don't even think we got spoken dialogue.
Yeah, okay. I think this will be the most fleshed out event so far. Like, there's going to be dialogue. There's going to be at least a cutscene, probably two. I think this will be a gold standard for events, a platinum standard even, and then it's just never going to... No other event will ever get close to this one, I think.
Do you think this is on parity to Cosmic Cube?
Oh, like the Monica mission?
Yeah, because that had dialogue. That was like an epilogue to Clint's story in a way.
Yeah, I think it'll be that, except the thing you're doing for gameplay will be more of an event style thing than a mission.
Okay.
Is my guess. But.
Yeah, because I don't think you can do a villain sector for this. Because
Yeah.
you would have to imagine it'd be Spider-Man specific. Like, you're going to fight Rhino, right? I don't know if you could do that. Like, are they really going to pour in all those resources to do something that big? To just not have it on Xbox or PC?
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing with this. Like, you have so many thoughts about this, but then you got to think it's only on one platform. They're going to spend all the time and resources to go out and just have it exclusive for one group of people. So I would love to be surprised. I mean, you and I are both PlayStation users. Me personally, because I have access, I know this sounds selfish, I would love for this to just be a Hawkeye-like or Kate Bishop-like hero drop, where we have like new villain sectors. It's a whole new operation. I am not sure we're going to get that.
Yeah, and it is unfortunate. I'll reiterate, a year ago, I didn't think this was a problem that it was exclusive, but now seeing that the plan of Hawkeye and Kate across 2 weeks last fall, and then Black Panther maybe in December, that didn't pan out. Yeah, the Spider-Man exclusivity hurts way more and is way worse because the original plan for this game didn't shake out. So yeah, I think if it was stuck that way, I still wouldn't mind that much. It'd be like, yeah, people who are fans of Spider-Man, that sucks they can't play him, but like, not a big deal. Now it is a big deal.
No, I think you're right. If they release like 5 characters over the course of that, and this was the 6th one, that'd be fine. But it's just so glaring now that there just hasn't been too many characters released.
Yeah, because as far as everybody else is concerned, this year for Marvel's Avengers, they got Clint Barton and they got Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And last year they got Kate Bishop. So this year they basically just got Black Panther,
Right.
Which is a kind of a disservice to the differences between Kate and Clint, which there are some, and I genuinely think that they play differently depending on how you spec them out. But the general person who looks at it, it's like, I got 2 Hawkeyes, but I can't get Spider-Man. Like, it hurts for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a point now where I don't know. It feels very strange. I would hope to be wrong, and I'm hoping to be wrong. But yeah, feels a little strange.
Do you think Spider-Man will drop after the raid?
I feel like it's around that time. It's listed like that on the roadmap. And was it you who said this in your video or somewhere I heard? It would be good to have them release around the same time because of the exclusivity. So at least like people can play the raid if they can't play as Spider-Man, you know?
I don't think I said that, but that is a good point. They should do that. So
Yeah, just, for me at least, the raid is the most important content. It's like it's the content I'm looking most closely at, and it will, I feel like, have impacts on the future. Whereas Spider-Man is really cool, but that's not as important, I think, as the raid. So it would be nice if the Spider-Man Hero event is maybe like a few weeks after or before, just to supplement that.
I'll also say, maybe I'm reading into this too much, but Spider-Man, in the visual aspect of the roadmap, like when you look at Spider-Man, he is featured in the Claw raid. So I don't know if that implies that we will get him before the raid drops so we can play him in the raid, but that might be a bit of a reach. I don't know, but I'm excited regardless. That's going to be the biggest month. I think if I had to guess, the raid is going to be November.
That makes sense. Thanksgiving time, dude? Are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah.
Think about that play session.
Load up on some turkey and then pass out, wake up, and then just play a raid in Avengers.
Sounds great.
Hell
Sounds
yeah.
great to me.
A couple other things of note. Like I mentioned before, there's a new enemy type dropping with the raid, Echoes. They are pure vibranium, I think the State of the Game blog detailed.
Yeah. I'll double check.
Okay.
Oh, sound constructs created by Claw.
Oh, okay. So yeah, interesting. That's a brand new enemy type. Visually, it's going to be very distinct, you know? So,
yeah. I imagine they'll look similar to Claw, maybe? Like the red sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that's a safe bet. But regardless, cool that they're coming to the raid, and I believe they did say that they'd be showing up in other places after they debut in the raid, so that's just good for the sake of variety playing this game.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
And alongside the raid, there will be a power level cap increase, so we will be able to bump from power level 150 to 160. There's going to be a couple difficulties for the raid. There is going to be the 150 to 160 difficulty, and then I think a 175 difficulty. So
yes. Yeah, 160 to 175 is like the elite mode, as they call it.
Yeah. Jack, I bet you if you and I match made with that same Thor we rolled with for the Super Adaptoid fight, I don't want to believe this, but I do think we'd still be able to get through the raid no problem.
Dude, I'm thinking about maybe doing a 150, 160 Thor. So maybe we just roll up all Thors.
Oh, yeah. Oops, all Thors. Crystal Dynamics' nightmare. Oh, man. But yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm excited to do it. I'm excited to put our team together. I'm excited to assemble. I'm excited to figure out who's playing who and get ready for this hopefully cinematic, exciting, dynamic, long play session of a challenging hurdle in Avengers.
Yeah, dude. Totally.
A couple other things listed on the roadmap. Most likely, I'd say, like, ancillary, probably, like, after the raid based off positioning again, which isn't really going off of much. Resources and gear upgrades are getting reworked. The exciting thing here is the gear rework, because the way it's going to function now is any gear that is level 100 or higher, you will be able to put resources into to get it to the power level cap, which is incredibly good at cutting out the gear grind of what mission will give me an exotic, or not exotic, a yellow piece of gear. Which one can I do on the war table? What's the power level like for the hero I'm trying to get that gear for? Go in, do it, get it, back out, get all the chests. Like, yes, you're still going to have resources on hand, but in terms of that monotony of just grinding missions for gear drops that you're not even going to use, it eliminates that, and that is excellent.
Yeah, this is really exciting. This is a really good rework. I kind of have a feeling this is probably the biggest gear, the closest thing to Gear 2.0 we'll ever get, maybe. At least for now.
Yeah.
But I think that's really good. Just, if you have your favorite perks on specific gear, but it's like a level 130 gear that can't be moved, you can now eventually do that. So that's good stuff. I don't like the gear grind, especially if you have like a good set going. So that's good stuff. This is great news.
Yeah, the only other thing I could maybe want to see them add to the gear system is like burning resources to reroll perks, but like even then, not a super priority. I think this is a much better change at this moment, because if I have that 130 level legendary gear that I really like this perk on, but I can't get it any higher, it's like, okay, well, I can just put the resources in and I have that as my high level one, so it's good.
Yeah, definitely.
Also coming later this year, Hawkeye Disney Plus crossover nameplate challenge. Look forward to it.
This is so funny as a thing on the roadmap.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Like, we knew this was coming, right? Something like this. Something in collaboration with Hawkeye. And I also realized, maybe I'm forgetting, is Miss Marvel just not coming out this year? I thought she was supposed to come out.
It is. It's supposed to hit this year. There's no date on it yet. I thought it was going to be October and Hawkeye was going to be November or December, but Disney Plus has yet to clarify when those shows are dropping.
Yeah. Either way, this is cool. I mean, like, it's a fun thing. We always talk about like marketing lining up with the MCU. So it's cool that Kevin Feige knows this game exists. And obviously he does. But yeah, it's a cool thing. It's just really funny to me that this has the same space taken up on the updated roadmap as like Spider-Man or the Raid does. Like, that's just funny to me.
Yeah, man. And I'm sure another thing that people will be very happy with, earnable cosmetics are returning. So congratulations, everybody who held out spending money on this game. You're going to be rewarded. I forget when they took it out, but I remember the pattern decryption thing was bugged. So like,
oh yeah,
that's why they took it out.
You can still go to that thing.
I know.
It's been a year.
It's so weird. They are going to allow you to earn some cosmetics that previously have only been featured in the marketplace, though. So for those that really want that hipster Thor, maybe you're going to get a shot to earn that thing instead of spend your money on it. So, again, good change,
Yeah, that's good stuff. I think the blues, maybe even the purples, should be earnable in some way or another.
Yeah.
Grindable, I should say, because I'm sure that's what it'll be. But that's good stuff. We'll see what that ends up being.
Yeah. Overall, I can't say I wasn't a little disappointed to not see an update on like the Wasteland Patrol or a Halloween event or a better visual look at how Spider-Man looks. But like I said, this was the bare minimum I needed to be satisfied. Jack, looking at this roadmap, looking ahead at the rest of this year, satisfied, worried, happy, content? What's up?
Kind of in the middle of all those, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, personally, I don't really care about the Wasteland Patrol. Like, I don't think I'm going to play that all too much at all. It's going to be one of those Marvel's Avengers things where I pick it up once, go through it, and never touch it again. So I don't really mind its absence on the roadmap. Yeah, sorry?
I was just going to... Sorry, but the Wasteland Patrol, like, the appeal of that was that you wouldn't have to load into missions to work on the gear grind.
Yeah.
So now that there's no gear grind, or there's an option for no gear grind, maybe they realized that and they were like, let's push it and like give it an actual reason to exist.
Sure. To me, it's just another whatever mode. Yeah. Honestly. So that's fine. For the biggest things, obviously, are the Raid and Spider-Man, but it is kind of a light end of the year And I'm worried that 2022 is just all going to look like this. And it's great that I really thought we were going to be playing taps in this episode, Christian.
Me too.
And it's possible what the next roadmap might be our last roadmap. So we'll see about that.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I guess I'm not too depressed about this, but I am kind of worried that 2022 is going to look something like this. Kind of content light until we get a big expansion, if we get a big expansion.
Yeah, I felt this way a little bit after the last roadmap. I was way more hopeful then, but I was like, okay, this roadmap, in my heart right now, I think the game has 6 months after the end of this roadmap. And I absolutely feel like that right now as well. The last roadmap, I was like, maybe the future could rest on War for Wakanda. It didn't. Now I'm like, maybe the future can rest off of the Claw Raid. We'll see. But I'm with you. I think that next roadmap will probably have like one more character as like a random drop and probably a Captain Marvel Kree expansion to wrap up that plot by summer. And then again, if by some miracle the numbers look good, maybe we get another 4-month roadmap. But like for me, I hope that's not the way this game exists. It's like every couple months we think it's gonna die, and it's like, oh, we got 4 months out of it. See you again in the end. And like, okay, is it dead? Is it gonna keep going again? But I'm just glad there's something right now. You know, last week I was really down. I really thought it was dead last week.
Yeah. It's like you got a text from a partner and they'd be like, hey, we should talk about things. And it's like, oh no, dude, I'm dreading this conversation. And it didn't end as badly as I was expecting with that analogy.
And then you leave that conversation, you're like,
yeah,
I'm gonna be a little careful right now. But
right, yeah, you're stepping on your toes.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens at the next roadmap. I don't know when we'll get it, but overall, Marvel's Avengers, you're gonna live to see another day.
Yeah, totally. Survived the Russian roulette.
Yeah. Won't be so lucky next time. You know, there's only 6 chambers in that gun.
Yeah. A couple have already gone off.
Yeah. Anyway, meanwhile, a couple things to update before we get to the big game stuff. Eternals will release only in theaters officially as of this morning. Are you let down by this?
No, like I genuinely do want to see these movies in theaters, and I will see this unless the caseload is like ridiculous at that point. But I will see this in theaters. I'm curious whether Disney and Marvel are leaving money on the table with Premier Access, because Black Widow did similar numbers theatrically to Shang-Chi, and also made like an additional $60 million. I don't know like the back end where if I guess we'll have to wait for Shang-Chi's numbers, but like after that theatrical release, did it end up losing money because of that? I'm not really sure. But it is interesting. I feel like that's kind of money on the table at this point.
Yeah, it could be. I think it depends on what Shang-Chi's second weekend looks like, right? Because Black Widow had a pretty big drop-off for weekend 2. At the moment, Shang-Chi's worldwide box office is $162 million. Domestically, it's at $105.9 million at the moment. So a decent amount up from the $75 million opening weekend. I'm expecting it will probably maybe retain some of that this weekend, or at least like stay in somewhat close. But yeah, I'm curious. I mean, I think Shang-Chi is the reason why we got this announcement today, right? Like, they saw this movie did very, very well for an unknown character in the midst of a second wave of a third wave of a pandemic. So Eternals probably has Shang-Chi to thank for getting a theater exclusive release lineup.
And you have to imagine the Scarlett Johansson lawsuit probably has something to do with this as well.
Yeah.
I would have to believe that a team-up movie with a whole bunch of actors would have a whole bunch of lawsuits.
Oh, yeah.
If they followed a similar path that Scarlett Johansson did. So I'm sure that might be affecting this as well.
Yeah, Disney does not want to cross Angelina Jolie.
No.
But yeah, this isn't exclusive to Eternals, right? Because we saw Venom 2 Let There Be Carnage got bumped back up to its October 2nd, I think, release date.
I think it's the 1st.
Okay.
That's a Friday.
So yeah, it got bumped up. That was the initial date, and then Delta happened, and then they're like 15th, and then they were like, oh, Shang-Chi did well. Never mind, it's the 1st. So
yeah, bizarre. I think that was in large part to Shang-Chi being like, oh, movies can do well.
100%.
So let's do that.
Any studio that was considering maybe doing a home release this fall backtracked on that as soon as they saw what Shang-Chi did this weekend. I guarantee you.
Right. And there were other movies that got I think the new James Bond movie is somewhere in the fall. Mm-hmm. That might have also had something to do with it. But yeah, I think in large part, because it was during that weekend of Shang-Chi's release, mm-hmm. where Sony was like, oh yeah, Venom's actually pushed out.
Sure.
And they didn't do a fun Infinity War, or was it Endgame? I think it was Infinity War. Remember when Robert Downey Jr. tweeted like, hey, Kevin Feige, can we just like have this a week earlier? He's like, yeah, totally. We didn't plan on this in secret. This is totally a spontaneous Twitter thing. They didn't even do that. Mm-hmm. Come on.
Is Tom Hardy on Twitter?
No, he's on Jeremy Renner's app.
Of course he is.
No, I don't know.
No, I bet he is though. Speaking of Venom, before we move on, I saw this. Venom, Jack, I am elated by this news.
Okay.
Venom Let There Be Carnage is a 90-minute film.
Oh, right. I did see that. That's great.
That is so good. I wish more Marvel movies were 90 minutes. There's something about a 90-minute flick that I adore.
Yeah, don't waste any time.
Mm-hmm. Get going immediately, you know? Once we sit and...
Get me out of the theater as soon as possible.
Yeah, I'm sure that's exactly why you were going to be happy about this. But
yeah.
I mean, Andy Serkis is directing it, right? I feel like I should trust Andy Serkis. I haven't seen anything he directed, but man is a very talented individual, right?
Oh yeah, I love Andy Serkis.
Yeah. The fact that I bet the 90-minute call was his choice. I bet he wanted that.
Yeah, could be.
He walked into that office. He walked into that Sony office. He's like, I have a vision. Is he British?
Yes, he is.
I have a vision.
I was like, are you going to do a British accent?
I need 90 minutes with Tom Hardy and the man in the wig. 90 minutes.
Wow, that really fell off.
I know. I was trying to do his accent from the MCU.
Yeah. He's doing a South African accent.
Yeah.
In the MCU.
Yeah, you're right. That's the wires got crossed in my head like halfway through that.
You didn't want to go Gollum?
No, I was just gonna try to, and I didn't.
I heard the hesitation.
Yeah. Oh man! But you sent me this. The MCU lined up a few new dates as well. In the middle of recording right now, they got.
Yeah, I wonder if this is Disney or is this MCU? It looks like it's. Oh, it is Marvel Studios.
Yeah, so Marvel Studios has added 4 movie dates to their schedule. I'll list them off, Jack, and then of course we're gonna try and guess what they are.
Yeah.
All 2024 films. First one is February 16th, May 3rd, July 26th, November 8th.
These are 2024 movies.
Yeah.
Can't even think that far ahead.
I think we're closer to these right now than we were to like Thor 4 when Thor 4 got announced. I think. Because that got announced like 2019, I think, and that's a 2022 movie now, so.
Right.
Maybe about the same. What do you think?
Oh, God, dude. Blade is on here somewhere.
Sure, because Fantastic Four doesn't have a date yet, right?
No, but that's on here as well. I'm thinking that is the July release.
Okay.
And that's like the penultimate end of Phase 4, and then November is the Ant-Man and the Wasp to Phase 4.
Ooh, I like this. Because we do know
Yeah.
Blade is the first Phase 5 thing.
Okay, then that's not on here.
I mean, November, Blade could drop like a little after Halloween, you know?
So this is specifically... I don't think this is specifically movies, though, is it?
I think it is.
Release dates for 2024.
I think it is. I feel like Disney Plus would be reported separately.
Okay. So what do you think in here?
So I'm thinking, you know what franchise... They only put one movie here, but you know what franchise loves February?
What's that?
Deadpool.
Oh, yeah, dude.
We are due for Deadpool 3.
That's a great... Because Deadpool 1 was Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's excellent.
Yeah, I'm thinking Deadpool 3 is February 16th. May 3rd is tricky, dude. If it was May 4th, I would have said Fantastic Four, of course, because, you know, they would have loved to use the 4.
Sure.
But May 3rd is like, that's like Avengers territory.
I know, yeah.
I'm going to say Captain America 4.
Okay.
Because Winter Soldier was April.
That's a few years out. Because they just confirmed that movie.
Yeah, shoot it like next year. Maybe start shooting it end of next year.
Okay. All right. I like the sound of that.
And then July. July's tricky.
Do you think Fantastic Four is that far out?
I hope not.
2024.
Do they have every 2023 film slot taken up yet?
No. The only thing I know for sure in 2023 is Guardians 3.
Okay. Isn't Quantumania then also?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay. I mean,
well, I don't. It could. Yeah, I think you're right.
Let me pull that up real quick. Tell me if you think this is wrong. Is Fantastic Four a November time slot movie? Because I feel like Marvel's first family, Thanksgiving, family time. It makes sense for the marketing. Am I wrong?
Sure, but I also think that is a brand you could leverage the summer movie season with.
Yeah.
And if Fantastic Four is the Avengers level team up movie going forward, or one of them, I think that's a summer movie. So I could see that in July.
Okay, so as far as 2023 goes, Quantumania is February, Guardians 3 is May. Unless they got a surprise thing, I think Phase 4 ends in 2023 with Fantastic Four.
Okay.
And that's probably like a July movie.
All right.
So,
Quick
yeah.
phase, huh?
Yeah, I mean, we have like 6 other shows to get through too.
I know that it's so packed.
Mm-hmm. So let's say, okay, you know what? Let's put a hypothetical slot. Let's do one more slot in 2023. Fantastic Four is July 23. Blade is October 2023.
All right.
And then, like I said, February is Deadpool. Did I say anything else? I can't think of another thing.
You said May was Captain America.
May was 4. Captain America. Okay.
Was it 4? Yeah, 4.
Yeah, Cap 4.
Okay, I think those are locks for sure.
Okay.
But honestly, July could be Cap 4, but we could say May.
Yeah, I mean, if it's gonna be Captain America, I feel like you put it around 4th of July, man. Why dance around that?
True.
Spider-Man.
We gotta throw Spider-Man.
We're getting Spider-Man movies like every 2 years.
Yeah.
Tom Holland's not moving on anytime soon.
But would Marvel Studios announce that, or would
That's a good question.
Sony Pictures? So, I think you gotta throw X-Men in the bunch.
Fuck, you're right. Oh my god.
Or some sort of mutants thing.
July is a perfect time for an X-Men movie.
Yeah, I think that's the one.
Because you introduce Deadpool in February, you tee up mutants later that year. There you go.
Yeah, I think that's the one.
Yeah, the post-credit scene is... Listen, the post-credit scene is Deadpool. He's looking at the audience. He's like, hey, you're about to get a new version of Wolverine this summer. It's not going to be Hugh Jackman. Cry about it. And that's it.
Yep.
I don't know what Marvel will put in November.
I don't know. That's a weird... We're getting into Eternals. Yeah, that's... I don't know.
No, did you hear what I said? I said Eternals.
Eternals?
Eternals 2.
Oh, no.
Am I wrong?
No, you're right. You're absolutely correct.
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to write these down.
Please
for
do,
posterity's sake.
Mm-hmm.
So February 16th, I think that's a lock, Christian. I think you nailed it. That's Deadpool 3.
Yes. I'm going to also tweet that we're live doing Excelsior, and these are our predictions.
Perfect. So May 3rd is Captain America 4. That one I feel not as confident in, but fairly confident in. I feel like that has potential to come true.
Yeah, I think you're probably correct. Like, I could see it be earlier, you know? Because, like, Captain America, we all love him. And I am very hungry to see Cap as Sam as Cap. So, like, don't hold that off. Do that as soon as you can, you know?
True. July 26th is some sort of X-Men or Mutants film. I feel good about that one.
Yes.
And then November 8th, 2024. I don't know. I could not tell you. Do you think Eternals too?
Can you think of anything better than Eternals?
No.
Literally anything at all.
I really can't. I feel like that could be a new hero.
Okay.
Is Ironheart a series?
Yes, Ironheart is a series.
All right. You know what? 2024? Oh no. I was gonna say maybe like Captain Marvel 2 or something.
You mean 3?
Or 3. Yeah, whatever it ends up being.
Thor 5. Taika can do another Thor.
Let's say this. Let's do a Valkyrie movie.
Ooh, okay.
Like straight up Valkyrie. Ride of the Valkyries.
Hell yeah. Nailed it.
All right. Let's do that.
Oh, go ahead.
So February 16th, Deadpool 3. May 3rd, Cap 4. July 26th, X-Men / Mutants. November 8th, Valkyrie.
Perfect. Nailed it.
I think we nailed that. Yeah, I think you're right.
The one I thought of that I was about to say, maybe Ghost Rider comes in at some point, but you know what? Ghost Rider could be either an October movie or it's a show.
Yeah, that's correct. That is around the fall. You can't release that when there's pastel colors still out there, right?
God, no.
You gotta release that when people are like, "Are ghosts real?" That's fall time.
Yeah, the leaves need to be dead, but my heart will be alive because it's fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we nailed this, dude.
Oh,
I think
absolutely.
that's the schedule.
Absolutely. Yeah, we crushed that. Look forward to all those movies, people. You can count on it.
That's in 3 years.
Hell yeah.
That's crazy.
Gonna be 27, I think.
Now, do you think any of these dates hit? Like, exact dates?
Yeah, I think we'll be done with COVID by then.
Well, yeah. I just mean, like, even, like, some of them shift around every now and then, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think if anything's at risk, the 2023 stuff is, but...
Totally.
Dude, I'm excited for Blade. Now that we're talking about this, give me Blade soon.
Yeah.
Can't wait for that.
Yeah. It seems like the way you were describing it, that's a 2023 situation.
I would hope so. If Marvel 6 doing 4 a year, slap that one in October. So.
Yeah. Sounds good. Sounds good to me.
Cool. Well, in the realm of Marvel games, we also know what's going on in
Oh my God.
2024.
Dude, I can't believe that took so long.
I know.
That was great, though.
Very quickly, the PlayStation Showcase, Guardians of the Galaxy, the game, got a trailer. This is the most substantial look we've had at this game since E3. I'm still looking forward to this. I thought the trailer was kind of mid, but I'm looking forward to this game.
Yeah, I don't think it showed very well. It seemed to me along the lines of a what's the game that's coming out that has been shown a billion times? It seems like the marketing dollars at play with this sort of thing. It's like, hey, we got a big stage coming up. Let's show off your game a little bit. We're not going to show anything new, really, but we're going to show it off. So that's pretty much like in the vein of what this is going for.
Mm-hmm.
And it was also like the proprietary standard like heavy metal rock. I haven't gone back to see what this trailer looks like with actual music, or if it even has that trailer.
Kind of a cool thing. I don't know if this will change your mind or anything, but the song they use in the trailer is a song written for the game, because in this take on Guardians of the Galaxy, Star-Lord named himself Star-Lord after a band he liked on Earth when he was younger, and the band was called Star-Lord, and they made a full like album from that fake band.
That's pretty cool. That's a cool way of introducing like music for your game that when you hear it like in the trailers, it's like, oh, they're just using this like kind of standard music to replace the licensed music. That's what they did in July. But yeah, that's really cool to like have a reason for like the diegetic music that we hear. That's good stuff.
Yeah, I thought it was neat.
Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, they gave a couple more insights. There was a blog post. It's like, oh, the main villain of the game is this priest of the Universal Church of Truth or something. So like, it's gonna get wacky. It's gonna get weird. I think it looks fun. The blasters he has are elemental, like we all thought. They're gonna have like the different skill trees and different progression for the what I'm assuming will be a fire attack, a water attack, an earth attack, electricity, plasma, whatever they do. But it comes out next month, so I'm just ready to play it, I think.
Yeah, looks like a really solid 8 out of 10.
Hell yeah, I'm going to have a great time playing this.
Totally. Could be my de facto game of the year.
Honestly, man, you know how much I love Guardians of the Galaxy? If it is good, I won't shut up about this game, I'm sure.
Yeah, totally.
I
mean, we have a whole podcast dedicated to Marvel's Avengers.
Yeah,
so
dude.
I could believe that.
Oh, man. Well, I'm going to enjoy this. I know you will too, but it's going to be a ways out. Marvel's Wolverine.
Dude. If I told you a week ago this was going to be made, would you have even remotely believed me?
You know, I would have been like, Jack, I know reporting is in your nature. I know you probably have some sources somewhere, but you're lying to me. You're fooling me.
This has to be one of the great video game surprises in years.
Yeah.
How many people have said, man, they need to make a really good polished Wolverine game that's even better than the mid 2000s Wolverine game that everyone liked. Like, this has just been top of mind for superhero games forever, and it's being made by Insomniac. What the hell?
Yeah, and I remember for a long time too, we all thought like, oh, X-Men, Xbox, Marvel has to offer them a game, right? They got Nintendo to get a Marvel exclusive. They had Spider-Man on PlayStation. It makes sense that Xbox would get one. Maybe that's still down the line. Who's to say? But the game is being developed right now. It is very early in development, they said. It's the same director as Spider-Man Miles Morales. All we know is Herman Hulst said it is going to be a tense, suspenseful, and emotional story about Wolverine in Insomniac's Marvel Universe. Where does your head go there?
Well, first of all, the Marvel Universe, Insomniac's Marvel Universe aspect is interesting. So presumably that would mean this game is connected to Spider-Man in some way or another. I'm sure we'll get like a end credits scene. That's pretty much the extent of it, I bet. But yeah, I can imagine this is probably based on some very somber Wolverine stories as well as Logan. And this is presumably a single player Wolverine only story. In the very small tone setting piece that we got was very kind of somber in a way, almost like Last of Us-y kind of. So that's kind of where I'm thinking.
Sure.
I really hope this is rated M.
Yeah.
Worried about that. I don't know about that.
I don't think I would be upset if it wasn't, but that was my first thought. Like, I was like, this should be a rated M game. Like, if Wolverine's not like decapitating people left and right, I wouldn't mind. I think you can make a really fun, good Wolverine game, a great Wolverine game even that isn't super gory. But I would like it to have a little bit of blood at least, you know.
Yeah, I mean, now that we've seen it with Logan, and we're like, oh, that's what we were missing. I feel like we can't just throw that away at this point. And like, I feel like you can have a rated M game connected to the Spider-Man universe, right?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's not too much of a contrast.
No, yeah, and I will say, like, obviously love Logan, but like, I do think the Wolverine, like the one in Japan, there's an unrated cut that gets like a little grittier than what the PG-13 cut was, but I do think it's possible to still do a really good Wolverine Logan story that like toes the line. Like they could probably push T as like blood. I'm sure I don't know what the ESRB's deal is, but blood is good enough. I don't need things to be constantly like decapitated, sliced off arms and all that. Like if it's just bloody, that's fine. You know?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think everyone wants an M-rated game, but I would settle for a T-rated Insomniac Wolverine game.
Yeah.
Which, you know, can only imagine this being excellent.
Yeah. Honestly, I think this has potential to maybe even be a better game than Spider-Man, if I'm being honest. Because, like, love Spider-Man, but I gave Spider-Man, like, an 8. Because it was good. It was really good. Because it was, like, a lot of Spider-Man games that came before, except this time everything worked. And it was a little safe, except for the ending. But I think Insomniac specifically, like, they don't have a game in their catalog that when I think Wolverine, I can like draw the comparison. They had plenty of those for Spider-Man. So
right.
I think this character is going to push them to hopefully do something outside their comfort zone. And they're great. Insomniac hasn't missed for me since the Ratchet remake, but like still, I think them trying out maybe something a little more brawlery, maybe feeling more like a bit of a God of War game instead of an open world Spider-Man thing could be really cool. And I wouldn't mind if this is on the tighter 15 hours or less side of things, personally.
Yeah, because I don't know the team structure of Insomniac. Do you? Like, are there multiple teams?
There's a couple different offices. There's like the Ratchet team. There's in North Carolina, there's the California team that did Spider-Man and Spider-Man Miles Morales. But like Brian Intihar did Spider-Man. I'm blanking on the person who did Miles Morales, but Brian Intihar is doing Spider-Man 2. And then the person who did Miles Morales is doing this. So I don't know if those are both California teams, if it's the same team, if there's two branches or what, but yeah.
Yeah. Either way, I think it would be really nice to what you were saying of having that smaller experience, the tighter story of Wolverine. I'm presuming this game is linear. I don't know what a open world Wolverine game would look like, but I'm thinking linear, maybe on the 8 to 10 hour side of things, maybe even shorter than that. Yeah. Similar to Miles Morales. I feel like that'd be a really good game to have in that catalog for sure.
Yeah, because I think that also, they said early development, the immediate thing is like this is a 2024 game at minimum, but like Insomniac works really fast, and Insomniac's whole thing on PS2 and PS3 was putting out an alarming number of video games, right? Um, so if they can like get into a groove where they're just dancing around the Marvel universe, making like 8 to 12 hour campaigns for all these different heroes in different genres, building their own universe. I don't care if they're 8 to 12 hours. Just like really flex, have fun, you know? Like I would absolutely take a linear Wolverine game that is closer to a God of War and is like 10 hours. I would take that over an open world game where it's like, okay, you want him like in the woods in Canada, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want?
That's the thought. No, I think you're right. I feel like that'd be a really good avenue to take, especially with Insomniac doing so many things. Like, just to have a nice, focused Wolverine game would be amazing.
Also, I don't know if you saw this, Jack, but the individual writing this game, are you aware?
No, I don't think so.
I think Walt Williams.
Oh, the Star Wars guy?
Yeah, who also did Spec Ops: The Line.
Ooh.
So we know Wolverine's got a fucked up past. You know, he's got so much bad stuff in his head. So that writer tackling this character with Insomniac, and just credit to the trailer. Talk about a tone setter. Like I think they did like almost shot for shot Wolverine's introduction from X-Men 2000, and I love that introduction in that movie. Just like him sitting at the bar, and then some dude comes up on him, and the claws come out on the bar. Like, oh, it's so good. It's so good.
My immediate thought, they showed Marvel and they showed Insomniac, and then they cut to the very first shot of the bar. I was like, okay, that's not Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
My immediate thought was Daredevil.
Me too.
Because I thought it was the bar from the Daredevil Netflix show, or like something similar to it.
Oh, yeah.
But then it made so much sense. What a crazy thing this is. I still can't believe this is a real video game that is being made right now.
Yeah, man, it's super cool. Whatever it is, whatever the scope of it is, we're talking about what we want out of this. I'm sure whatever they deliver will be excellent, and I'm gonna have a great time with it.
Oh yeah.
So Wolverine is an awesome character, and as oversaturated as he could be at times, I still feel like Wolverine is a little underutilized at times. So
you would expect him to be the way Iron Man is treated these days.
Yeah, dude, it's Wolverine.
You know? Yeah.
He's like the second best Marvel character.
He's on the Mount Rushmore of superheroes.
Yeah. It's wild. So, looking forward to that. In the more immediate future, though, Spider-Man 2, 2023.
Yep. Dude, I love the name.
Yeah.
I'm so glad they went with Spider-Man 2.
You know, yesterday I was texting one of my friends from home who likes Marvel, and I was like, hey, did you see they announced a sequel to Spider-Man? And he was like, oh, no, really? It's like, yeah, like Venom's in it, and I Googled Spider-Man 2 to send him like the image of Venom, and I looked up Spider-Man 2 game, and all of Google Images was Pizza Time, it's Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 2 game. So that's a problem. But
I think that'll quickly go away.
I'm sure. I texted our group, me and Kevin. I was like, do you think they announced it this early so they could take over the SEO on Google?
Oh yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah,
I'm sure that has something to do with it.
Sure.
There are examples of movies and games that just have like the same title as, you know,
God of War.
It's like a reboot or whatever. Yeah, exactly. And that game did just fine.
Mm-hmm. So I forget if we said this. It kind of goes without saying, but Wolverine and Spider-Man are both PS5 only. As in, obviously they're not going to be on Xbox, but these are signaling moving away from cross-gen. So PS4 users, if you love Marvel, you're probably going to have to upgrade by 2023. But yeah, what do you think of that Spider-Man trailer, dude? It was CG. It gave us a good concept of what to expect. There were some cool little Easter eggs in there. Overall thoughts?
So the content of it is not surprising at all. It's kind of what you'd expect after Miles Morales and Spider-Man. Obviously you have Venom in there. That's kind of a given after the teases they've had at the end of their games. But I really did not expect to see this game yesterday. I thought this was going to be like a 2022 announcement, and it come out in 2023. Really glad it's coming out in 2023, but still, this is super exciting to have Miles and Pete team up and then have Venom in the mix, and presumably Kraven the Hunter was the narrator of that. So that combination of things has me very excited.
Yeah, man. I think it also was a surprise because this came after the Wolverine announcement, right? Like, we saw Insomniac, we saw Marvel, and it was like, surprise Wolverine. It's like, oh, so yeah, Spider-Man's not going to be here. And they showed like Gran Turismo, and then it was like, oh no, Spider-Man is here also. So,
yep.
What a surprise. But yeah, as a concept trailer, I do love it. We have a few more details. There's not going to be co-op, even though Miles and Peter are both involved here. Both their stories are progressing. Presumably Peter's the focus main character because it's Spider-Man 2 and not like Spider-Man or Spider-Universe. I don't know. But it is going to feature both of them. Probably both going to be playable. And gameplay hints, team takedowns maybe, like Arkham style. You know, how an Arkham Knight can do that.
Yeah.
Iron Spider legs look way more involved in combat here. Specifically, they look like they're designed to fit aesthetically with the advanced suit. So we got like white and red Iron Spider legs. Do you think?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
How do you feel about that? I know some people don't love the Iron Spider suit, but I feel like the legs could be really cool to like flesh out combat and make him more distinct than Miles.
Yeah, I think Peter has always been in this universe. He's been the gadget guy, and Miles has been the Venom powers guy, and that's kind of the differentiate. That's how they differentiate. I don't like. I wasn't sold that the spider legs were like a permanent fixture for his outfit. I thought maybe like that was just what the player was choosing to wear.
Sure.
But I guess you're probably right. Like, for them to feature that so heavily in the trailer, that is probably more of a focus for him, especially after like fighting Doc Ock. He probably wants to have that at his arsenal. So yeah, I think you're right. It'd be a good way to, have some differences. Because I'm thinking I still want that GTA 5 style hit down on the D-pad and you're swinging as Pete. And then hit down on the D-pad and Miles is eating a slice of pizza and then jumping off a building, and then you can play as them. That's what I want.
Yeah, that is the dream, absolutely. And I think we talked about this too, but like after playing Miles Morales, part of the conversation was like, man, we both love Peter, but like going back to Peter after playing as Miles is gonna feel like we're missing out. So I do think having the legs be part of his kit, maybe a bit more integrated than they were in the last game, because before, wasn't it just like a vanity thing? Like, I don't think they did anything. They just popped out, right?
I think it was an ultimate.
Okay.
And you couldn't like control them in any specific means, but I think they just kind of helped you in battle when you activated them.
Yeah, so like think how with Batman and like the free flow combat, you can like integrate gadgets in a certain way. Like you can kind of do that in Spider-Man, but that's still just like you'd be using them normally. If they integrate the legs into being like a free flow combat style, you have specific combos that you can use for the legs. I think that'd be awesome. And again, it would just make Peter feel like he's more fleshed out the way that Miles felt like they were fleshing out Peter's base kit,
Yeah. I think that's a good call for sure.
Now, everybody's rumbling about Kraven the Hunter, right?
Mm-hmm.
I need to ask you this because you're the expert you've read more Black Suit Spidey comics than I have.
Yeah, one.
Kraven's Last Hunt involves...
I haven't read it.
Okay. I forget if I've read it, but it involves the symbiote. So, the fact that we're getting Venom and we're getting Kraven and the Kraven dialogue is saying like, I've looked for a worthy opponent my entire life and all this stuff. That's kind of, to my understanding, what Kraven's Last Hunt is kind of about. Of like, he wants a worthy opponent, he chooses Spider-Man. Spider-Man needs the black suit. So I think we could be getting a very interesting, obviously darker sequel. My question for you: we gonna suit up with the symbiote powers?
Dude, I sincerely hope so. Sincerely hope so. I'm surprised if that's the case. It wasn't featured in this game, like or in the trailer. I mean,
yeah. I mean, I feel like that'd be a lot. Like if they debut the trailer and it's Peter and Miles, and then Peter is also wearing the symbiote suit, like that's a lot to take in.
No, my thing was like the reveal would be guys like getting beaten up in like an alley somewhere, and they're getting like brutally taken down, and then you just pan over to Pete in the black suit, and that's the reveal.
Okay.
You know, like so. I'm wondering now. Obviously, Venom's in here. The symbiote is in play. I'm wondering if the Peter symbiote is reserved for the sequel, Spider-Man 3. Because that seems like a lot right now.
I mean, Spider-Man 2, as much as I think I'd love if it was closer in length to Miles because it trimmed out the fat, I do think Spider-Man 2 will truly feel like a sequel.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like, remember, Spider-Man 1, we had the whole Sinister Six in there. We had a lot of stuff going on in there, too. I think some of the fan theories, we might be onto something. Like, I can see a world where the main focus of this game is Harry shows up, no symbiote, it was a swerve. Or maybe he has it, and then Peter's like, this is hurting him, I can take it and study it. Peter gets the suit. He uses the suit to fight Kraven, but he gets too dark. Then we switch over to Miles, and we have to stop Peter. Peter takes it off and gets rid of it, and then Spider-Man 3 style, it finds its way to Eddie Brock, and then we have to team up with Miles for the end of the game to be them versus Venom.
I do like that. I honestly think they just do Harry as Venom.
I would hope.
Throughout this whole game. I like that idea. I do especially love the idea of Miles having to battle Peter.
Oh, yeah.
And for you as the player to battle Peter. Oh, yeah. That sounds amazing.
Mm-hmm. That'd be so good, dude. That'd be like the greatest game PlayStation's ever made.
I know. So like good. That's like the equivalent of Anakin and Obi-Wan going at it.
Oh, yeah, dude.
So I want that. I want that now.
And remember also, we got like Green Goblin teases too to worry about. So like, this might be a pretty beefy game. I mean,
oh yeah,
there's all that tech, right?
True.
Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, man. There's a lot going on here, and then some people want them to introduce Gwen as like how they introduced Miles as the next Spider person. Mm-hmm. They want a similar treatment for Gwen in this one. It's like, man, that'd be awesome. And then Spider-Man 3 is the Spider-Person game.
Yeah, man. Genuinely, I would love if the Miles Morales style game for Spider-Man 2 was Spider-Gwen. Like, 8-hour campaign, we play as her, and like she gets teed up in Spider-Man 2. That'd be so cool. And I have seen people also saying they wanted a Venom game, which genuinely, I think could probably be fun, but I don't think that's in the cards right now.
Yeah, I'm good without the Venom game.
Or if we go with your path and we stick with Harry Venom, maybe uneasy alliance between them, and then maybe we get our Spider-Person thing then.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah. Ooh. Okay, last thing. Harry Venom.
I just keep thinking, whenever you say that, I think of like a hairy Venom.
This burly Gaston looking hairy chested Venom. Peter gets through to him before the end of the game, and then hairy Venom, Peter and Miles join up to fight Norman Osborn, the Green Goblin.
All right.
Harry hates his dad. He's gonna get to kill him. That's just how it works.
This is so exciting.
Yeah, there's so many possibilities.
I'm very excited for this. And 2023, I feel like is a great year for this to come out. Like, that's not too far away from this announcement. Obviously, we knew this was coming, but that's a good time to announce this game.
Mm-hmm.
So, not too far away. We got another Spider-Man in the meantime. Mm-hmm. So, that will surely tide us over until then. But this is great stuff.
Yeah, and I'm absolutely positive we're going to get to see good chunks of this game in 2022, which is exciting.
Totally.
And yeah, Hail Mary Hope is a PS5 Slim or Pro that releases alongside this thing. It's a nice glossy black with a white spider on it. Please, Sony, I'll buy one then. But
yeah, is that when you get a PS5? Are you kind of holding out till Spider-Man?
Every PS5, PS4 game that I've played on my PS4 has worked fine. I will play God of War Ragnarok on my Pro. Hot take. I saw that yesterday. I was like, this looks like a PS4 game. It looks a little prettier than one, but it still looks like one.
No, you're right. Yeah.
My Pro can handle it. I can ride out next year on my PS4 Pro and then bide my time. I hope it's early 2023, but...
Dude, that is a September-ass game.
I know.
If I've ever seen one.
But like summer vibes, big blockbuster,
Sure.
So, yeah, we'll see what's in store with Spider-Man 2. But for a debut, for a CG trailer, stoked.
These two game announcements, which collectively were 2 minutes in length,
probably
overshadowed anything that we just talked about for Marvel's Avengers, right? Like, wow, they really did it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I'm excited.
Yeah, like we had the announcement of the future of the Marvel's Avengers, and we had like glimpses at 2 games from Insomniac that are years away, and my attention is all on Insomniac, which is kind of unfortunate, but very exciting at the same time.
Yeah, and I mean, Insomniac is just a killer studio, and speaking of just overshadowing, we also got a Guardians of the Galaxy trailer in this same presentation, right? And it's a game we're both looking forward to, but it's not the Insomniac levels, And no disrespect to Crystal Dynamics or Eidos, because they both made fantastic games, but there's just something that Insomniac nails when they try to adapt Marvel stuff so far, and no reason to doubt them right now.
Nope.
So, finally, probably not too long on this, Marvel's What If this week. What if zombies? What if zombies, Jack?
It's the best one, dude. It's my favorite episode. I'm just spoiling it right ahead. So much fun. This is another example of What If for me that really like hammers home on the idea of the show, and just taking a random ass idea and turning the MCU on its head and having just a really fun time with it. Sure. Really enjoyed it. Some of my negatives are that this is a 90-minute idea in a 30-minute episode.
Yeah.
And that hinders the story in a lot of ways, and things feel incredibly rushed at points. But this is so fun. I love the idea of how their take on zombies. Iron Man isn't just a zombie now. He's a zombie with Iron Man's abilities and kind of memories, like muscle memories. Same with other heroes. I love that idea. I think this is so much fun. And for me, this is probably the most rewatchable What If episode. So my favorite. What about you?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm as positive on it. It wasn't bad at all. I did really like it a lot. It was really, really good. I'm with you. It felt rushed. None of the emotional moments hit for me, and I think it would have been hard to make them hit for me at all. But like, I felt emotions in like the T'Challa episode, if that's because Chadwick Boseman passed away, maybe, but like I think even like the Doctor Strange one had a couple moments where I was like, oh, they're they found a glimpse of something here, right? Here it was like, oh, Hope made a sacrifice. Spoilers, sorry, but it was like, okay, T'Challa doesn't have a leg. Okay, somebody else died. Oh, okay, like it was hard for me to get in because of how fast it was moving, and I think the big problem I have is that more than any other episode so far, this one specifically feels like it is not done, and there's a second part to this.
Oh yeah, it certainly ends that way.
Yeah.
I kind of hope there's a second part to this.
I do too, but I hope it's this season. That's my thing. Like, there's been a few weeks where we're like, oh, it feels like there's room for like another scene at least, right, with some of these episodes. But this one is like, I mean, they got to get to this place and like figure out if they can do this cure, but the episode just kind of ends.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think the glaring issue with this is it just has to move within the 30-minute structure, which definitely hinders the episode itself. But pretty much everything in terms of like character interactions and stuff, I really enjoyed with this.
Yeah, me too. I just wish there were more of it. Was more time for more of it. I guess, like the stuff with Happy, that was all great, but like didn't really get a moment to live with that. I know they gave Peter a moment where he was like happy, and then something happened. So like the idea of a Marvel zombie apocalypse and like these heroes having to lose each other this way, Walking Dead style, is really fun. And we got glimpses of it here, I think, where I'm looking for the whole, not even a whole meal, but like...
You want the whole pie, man.
Yeah.
You got a slice.
Yeah. Maybe even like a half a slice, I think is what I got.
Sure.
I did like...
Sure. I get that. This does feel like I wish they just had a Halloween-themed... We're doing Marvel Zombies, it's not canon, and it's... like an animated feature length thing that we're doing for Disney Plus. Yeah. That would have been awesome. But to just get what we got here, I really enjoyed. And I totally understand the criticism. This was a very mixed What If episode I saw. I came away from this incredibly positive, and IGN gave us a 5. A bunch of places were, pretty negative about this one, but I was like, oh man, I really love this. And I know a lot of people like this a lot too.
I would still give it like an 8. Like, I enjoyed it, but I think walking out of this, I'm just wanting what you're pitching, right? And I think that's maybe part of my issue with What If once we're done with it, is like, if I look back at this, how many of these are going to feel like pilots?
Yeah, totally.
Because like, truly, I think the ones that felt self-contained so far, unless I'm forgetting another one, were T'Challa and Fury. Like, those two felt contained. It was a fun experiment. Sure, we could do a follow-up, but we don't need one.
I would have said Doctor Strange.
Sure.
And T'Challa. Because I feel like Fury leaves off... all of these leave off, really, that you can continue on.
Yeah. And
it seems like they might, like, in some way, like, connect them at the end of the season. Mm-hmm. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think, like, with the Fury one, I feel like, yeah, they could follow up with, like, Loki World, but if they didn't, I wouldn't be disappointed, right? Like, if we don't get a follow-up to this, I'll be a little let down, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it ended on such a way where, like, Thanos is, like, not... I feel like they do a good job of Thanos being, like, in the complete back of your mind. Like, you're just so focused on the situation.
Yeah.
For me, at least, that you forget that this takes place during the time of Infinity War. Mm-hmm. So the reveal at the end is nice. It is certainly obvious if you think about it for a little bit, but you just forget about that in the back of your mind. So I did appreciate that. But yeah, it just does kind of end.
Yeah, it's funny, too, because, again, I was watching with Kayla, and she was like, where's Thor after a little bit of this? And I was like, well, he's with the Guardians. And then I was thinking about it, and I was like, well, this is all happening on Earth. Like, the rest of Infinity War in space is just happening right now. Like, that's all fine. But no, apparently not.
Yeah, no. What did you think of Spider-Man in this?
I thought they got a great voice match.
I agree.
That was real good. That was very spot on for Tom Holland.
Yeah, that actor definitely had the Tom Holland mannerisms and things like that, and it was cool. I kind of forgot that Spider-Man was showing up in here, so it was nice.
Yeah, I did too. I honestly, I would love to see more Spider-Man stuff in the rest of this season, even if it's not connected to this. I don't know if we're gonna get that, but yeah, well, I mean, I remember the toy for What If that's Spider-Man with the capes is called like Zombie Hunter Spider-Man, and I don't think we saw him hunting zombies. Maybe that was just the name, but I don't know. I really want a second episode.
I agree. I'm totally with you there.
Mm-hmm. What did you think of the WandaVision stuff?
That was good stuff. I liked how they kept with the character, or the characterizations of those two, and having Vision like having the logic of feeding people to Wanda so she wouldn't like just go crazy everywhere. And yeah, that was good stuff. That was part of the movie, the typical like zombie movie where you feel safe, and then it's like, oh no, this is actually wrong the whole time. It felt incredibly rushed. Like when you get to Vision, like in one sentence he turns.
Yeah,
that was the part of the episode where I was like, oh man, this feels like we should have spent like 20 minutes here, but we spent like 2 minutes.
yeah. Imagine if they had the ambition of Andy Serkis and they got a 90-minute feature out of this, right? And then around minute 65, we get that. Who was it? Bucky who found Wanda.
Yes, I think you're right.
Like we get Bucky exploring a couple hallways, fake out jump scares, just a rat, and then we just like get slow and around a corner. We just see that red glow. Like I really think if it had the more time to breathe, it would have had like a genuine emotional payoff from what we're carrying in. And I want that. Like it could have been so fun, and it was neat, but this felt like just an abridged idea. Like
Yeah.
a fan. You know how like sometimes fan films got made in the past, and then it's like, oh, this was really well. We're gonna fund it. It's gonna become a thing. And then we get the full version of that. That's what this was, I think.
Yeah.
And I want that other version.
I know. Yeah. It would be really cool to have like a longer version. I wonder if season 2 of What If is like hammers home on that.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. I know, because like I know we have an episode of season 2 announced for like Black Widow, but I have to wonder, like, are we gonna follow up on these obvious cliffhangers in a second season, or is that just the point of the show? Like we just got a little glimpse. That's what the Watcher's deal is.
Yeah, I wonder if at the end of this season, the reason why they all end on cliffhangers is that for some reason the Watcher gets involved and like pulls them out of their situations. Seems like we might be heading in that direction. I'm not sure though.
Or maybe the end of the season lines up with WandaVision and Loki and everything else, and then it just falls apart. But
good. Certainly possible.
I will accept this episode being the way it is if, like the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, in a Halloween or two, we get a true live-action Marvel Zombies thing on Disney Plus. I'll accept that.
Oh my god, if we get live action, I don't think that'll ever happen. That'd be amazing.
We're getting a holiday special amazing. With the full cast.
It's true.
It's gonna be like an hour, I think. So, what?
Okay.
Get James Gunn in on it. Just get him to do it.
Dude, I'd want Scott Derrickson to come back. Just do his horror movie.
Nah, Sam Raimi, Evil Dead roots.
Yeah.
Let him flex.
Yeah. True.
But do you want to rank this?
Yeah, so this is number 1 for me, but I'm certainly okay with scaling back.
So remind me what our official group ranking is right now. It's
I don't know. This is
episode 6.
So this is it 6? Man, the weeks kind of fly by with this. Man. This is 5 or 6.
Because we got Captain Carter, we got T'Challa, Star-Lord, we got Fury's big week, we got Doctor Strange, and then this one.
Yes.
Did I skip one?
I don't. Let me look up the.
Okay, I'll write it down this time.
Yeah. Let me look up the what if Wikipedia.
I truly thought I'd be able to remember all of them, but
yeah, I'm kind of with you though. I've. It's this is a weird one.
mm-hmm.
So we have the first one was Captain Carter. The second one was T'Challa,
Mm-hmm.
Star-Lord. The third was Nick Fury. The fourth was the Doctor Strange one, and this is the fifth one.
Okay. Now, if I remember correctly, our previous ranking was number 1 T'Challa, number 2 Fury, number 3 was Doctor Strange, and then last place was Captain Carter.
Yes, that's correct.
I would probably put it second place personally in this ranking.
Wow. Okay.
Because like I like the Fury murder mystery. This was a more fun concept, I think. Actually, I don't know. Yeah, maybe on my because my personal ranking I think is a little different, but yeah, I'd probably put it third personally. If it's first for you, I'm fine meeting in the middle and putting it second place. So that's cool.
I'm good with 3. I feel like 3 makes sense. I'm very much the outlier. If we had a third person in here, I feel like I'd be the outlier.
We don't though, Jack. It's 50-50.
I know.
We're co-pilots here.
So what would be second if this was in third place? Would it be Nick Fury?
The Nick Fury episode, yeah.
Okay. That's a good episode. It's like a solid episode.
Yeah.
And I recognize more issues with this episode than I do with the Nick Fury one.
Sure, but
so I'm good.
Also, this one's trying to get weirder, you know.
I know. Risks.
Yeah. They don't.
I'm good with this at 3. I don't need to push for this one.
Okay. Fair enough. So number 3 is Marvel Zombies. First place, T'Challa. Second place, Fury. Like I said, 3 zombies. 4 Doctor Strange. 5 Captain Carter.
Nice.
Unless we have a bomb one week, I don't think anything will bump up Captain Carter personally.
No, and it's not a bad episode.
It's not.
It is just the first Avenger. Again,
yeah.
Kind of differently.
Yeah. I'm maybe worried that Iron Man Killmonger episode is just going to be Iron Man 1. But
yeah.
Even then, who's to say? We don't know yet.
Yeah, that's the thing with that episode is it doesn't really hammer home on the what if formula too much.
Yeah. So.
Whereas the other ones are pretty skewed.
Yeah, like I think the thing you have to do is look at the outcomes of all of them, right? Like the outcome of Doctor Strange, a universe died. The outcome of Marvel Zombies, the world is a zombie infested mess. Outcome of Fury's thing, Loki took over the world. Outcome of T'Challa, we just got a really cool version of the Guardians of the Galaxy with Wakandan tech.
And yeah.
And then the outcome of Captain Carter is the outcome of the first Avenger. Like,
pretty much.
So we'll see what the future brings. We got 4 more of these, I think, coming up. So
yes.
Look forward to those. Do you know what's next week? I like asking you this every week, like you know.
I didn't look up the episode. I'm gonna say it's gonna be the Iron Man Killmonger one. Yeah,
cool.
That's the guess.
Sure.
Because I thought this was gonna be later on, but they hit us pretty early in September. So all bets are off. I'm gonna go Iron Man Killmonger.
Sounds good. I'll co-sign that. I really want to see what the hell that one's about. So.
I honestly don't even know what other concepts are left aside from that one.
I know there is Gamora Thanos is one of them.
Okay.
Like she's in the armor with the helicopter blade sword.
Ooh.
So that could be interesting.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it all unfolds. But Jack, until then, where can the Agents of Excelsior find you?
You could follow me on social media at FascinatedJack. What about you, Christian?
You can follow me on Twitter, TikTok, and Twitch at Chun2D2, as well as here, youtube.com/joyclicks for the video version of Excelsior, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, you can find Excelsior. under Excelsior or JoyClicks or Marvel's Avengers podcast. Leaving a rating or review if you enjoy the show helps us out a ton, helps us reach more people, and we appreciate it greatly. If you want to support us on the monetary level, patreon.com/joyclicks at the $1 and $5 tiers. $5 tier gives you producer credit on this show and every show we do, like Aaron Easton and Charles Applin. So thank you very much. And that is it for, I will say, you know what, I'm not going to say it because we've, I think you said this at the very beginning of the episode or pre-recording. We always think the beefiest episode of Excelsior of the year has happened.
Yeah.
This is the bar right now, I think, but we got a lot of the year left, and we got a lot of projects left.
We have The Raid, we have Spider-Man, we have No Way Home. We also have our Spider-Man in review coming up.
We got Guardians of the Galaxy as a game.
That too, man. We're gonna have some beefy boys.
Hell yeah. So, look forward to it, but until then, Excelsior.
Excelsior.